Quad 66, Zip Tie Canopy version 2. Now this isn't all heated up and smooth out there, so this I'll do that at the end to kind of show you, but I wanted to leave it this way so I can pull it apart. But in version 2 I wanted to see if I could address a couple of points, and I think it does. So those issues are that on the version 1 Canopy, the camera is all locked together here, but once you bring these zip ties down, this locks it together. So when you're building, that kind of makes it a little bit of an issue that you got to get the camera in there first, and then you lock it down. And once it's in there, you got to cut it apart to get it out. You can pull apart the rest of it and just replace just these, just the shrink tubing on top to get it if you're building or working on stuff, but the camera's kind of locked in. The other part too was that on this Runcam Nano, I think this is enough protection basically, but if you want a little bit more, I've wanted to address that issue. And then the last part was seeing if we could just save a little bit of weight. If you're doing this on the 1S build and weight is absolutely critical, I think you can still save a little bit of weight. And so that brings us to version 2. So I'm just going to pull this apart so you can see what the differences are. So the real difference now is that instead of those zip ties coming down from the top to get you that angle, all I did was I just took this one zip tie and folded it down and put a crease in it. So what you do is you get it to the length you want it and fold it down. To fold it down, you want to do it without the shrink tubing on. So basically you put the camera in place, hold it in place, fold it along, pull the camera out, and then really pinch and crease the zip ties to get a nice fold there. And then that also makes it a little bit easier because now with these pieces coming from the back, they can just extend out, and it makes getting your length and tilt a little bit easier because you don't have to trim all 4 of these pieces to length initially. You just have to get these 2 pieces trimmed down, and then obviously the shrink tubing. So this goes together basically the same way, where once you put the shrink tubing on, it just slides in there. And then what you'll do is you'll hold that there in place, heat it down, and then set it. The other thing I've been doing is with these zip ties in back, initially I kind of had them angled forward like that, and I think that is structurally the strongest way to do it. But to get a little bit more room and clearance, I've been mounting them this way, so where they're flat, and then that gives you a little bit more room and rounding back there. So then with this build, if you want to go ultralight for 1S, then what you want to do is you just want to snip those flat, and then that removes that little extra, this, I don't know what to call that part, but that part of the zip tie is no longer up here, so that's going to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up just to kind of give it a little bit more finished look. So once you heat it, you just go ahead and hold it there until it cools. And that just takes a little bit of time. Gonna need a little bit more heat back here to kind of finish that part up. Alright, hopefully that's cool enough to stay. Okay. And so it gives it a nice little rounded pod there, like that. Now, as I said, if you want to go 1S and super light, just trim those off, and that's about as light as you can get it. But then if you want to add on a little bit of camera protection, then just one more piece of shrink tubing just kind of slides in like that. And then, again, just apply a little bit of heat. You just apply a little bit of heat to get yourself your little camera protection right there. Alright, so that's it. Version 2 of the zip tie canopy. Until next time, cheers.